Hey, listeners, welcome back to WAVETalks. We're on the road today in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're going to cover home automation for custom integration and our installers. This applies to everybody that is near a Wave branch and any custom installer, custom integrator in the United States. Today, we're going to cover Savant, and the guests on WAVETalks are Robby Burrage, and Robert is with Wave, and our special guest is Trevor de Maat with Savant. So, Robbie, tell us, how long have you been with Wave, and what have you been doing your whole life?
Whole life. So I've been with Wave for 8 years here in Arizona the entire time. I've put a lot of focus into Savant as a brand champion. I've learned how to program it, how to system design. I've done a few jobs myself on the side just to really kind of cut my teeth on it and get as much knowledge as I possibly can.
Trevor, what about you? What have you been doing your whole life? How long have you been with Savant?
Well, I've been with Savant now 10 years. Have a kind of, let's say, call it a rich history with the distribution. Prior to this, I actually have worked with Wave for a very, very long time. So know when Wave was expanding from into different regions. Just to kind of like give a little bit more background, I came to the country in 96 from the Netherlands. Got involved with very high-end audio, like extremely high-end audio. And then got into distribution like several years later in the New York market. I live in New York, managed then in distribution that entire region, and slowly but surely got into the, let's call it the manufacturing role. And I remember the moment when one of my friend dealers on Long Island said, like, Trevor, like, you really ought to just like start talking to Savant Systems. I think this is way more up your alley, very innovative. And I'm like, yeah, interesting. And actually, before I knew it, I joined them, and it's been a really, really great ride. So
let's talk about Savant and home automation from the very basics.
Oh, I mean, the big idea behind home automation is always going to be to try to get all of the apps that you have, all the different ecosystems that you have within your home wrapped together under one banner, so that you've got one place to go on your phone that can do everything as far as changing the channel on your TV, selecting what music you want to listen to. And with Savant, you're also looking at energy management, which is really nice, lighting, temperature, thermostat control, any number of things like that that can work within a home that you're going to use on a daily basis. If you can combine those into one app and streamline it to make it nice and easy, that's the whole prospect and idea of home automation, and Savant does a phenomenal job of that.
So, Trevor, this sounds overwhelming if I just started my business, or maybe I've not done automation, but I just went through some of this call it 101 training. It doesn't sound really difficult.
yeah, it could certainly feel overwhelming. We cover many areas in what we do in our industry, right? So anything from a remote control to control the TV to energy management. But yet you can start with something really simple, like if you're, hey, my client has a TV, they like a remote control but a nice soundbar with it. Yeah, try the Savant Soundbar. That is the entry level into like a nice experience with some lighting control, HVAC control, get your music up and running, and really like a nice, easy entry for the homeowner, but also for the integrator that visits Wave here.
So you're saying a consumer from Robbie can buy a soundbar, and now they're in automation?
Now they're in. I'm going to throw a little bit of history in here as well,
okay.
Why we're here today. So like we started our company a little bit over like 18 years ago, and we actually built product for like the large, very large properties. But over the years, we've been able to like bring some of that experience, or a lot of that experience, over into a single room solution. So one of the perfect ones is the soundbar, the Savant Smart Soundbar. And literally that soundbar has the amplifier built in, a music server, source inputs and source outputs, and that has the host built in, or the processor built in, to then attach your lighting, then attach an HVAC system. Whatever you want, you can attach to it for a small application. And it's a very easy setup, really easy to set up for any integrator that is just starting. And from there on can grow out the system. So it's years and years of experience for mega solutions into a single room application.
Robbie, can you talk about some of the dealers that have gone through that step where they went from no experience in automation into that kind of first system, and then where it led them?
Yeah, certainly.
And how quickly?
Yeah, and it does happen quickly. One of the nice things with Savant is that it's a very user-friendly, not only for the customer itself, but also for the integrator. The integrator, and what Wave provides on a support basis is what makes it really unique. We have our own in-house tech support that can help guys. We do all the training here, like we've got one going on right now with folks in their learning. So there's a ton of back-end support, both from guys at the counter like myself, our tech support, as well as Savant that assists on training, Brett, and a variety of other individuals. That way, we want to make sure the integrator always feels like they have backup. They're never left alone on an island. They're not going to be in a scenario where, they don't know what they're supposed to do. They're not sure how to program something. We want to make sure they always have that backup support, because automation can be scary, like you said, for a lot of people. So we want to make it as easy on them as possible. When Trevor's talking about that soundbar, that is a great starting point. That is a kind of all-in-one, in the box, gets you in the door, gives you the ability to control quite a bit in a house and get somebody a taste of Savant, how it feels, what they like about it, and from there kind of build out the ecosystem, if that's the route they're going. One of the most unique things about Savant that I personally really enjoy is my mother-in-law she's like my kind of test bed for any kind of automation. She is not savvy with electronics in any way, shape, or form. And I've been through RTI, I've been through Pro Control, I've been through URC. I've done all of those in my house. And every time she would come over to watch my kids, so me and the wife could go out on a date, I'm getting a call within 10 or 15 minutes of, how the hell do I make this work? I can't watch TV. What's going on here, kind of thing. And Savant, when I finally put that into my house and made the switch over to that, first date we go on with me and my wife, I don't get the call. Mm-hmm. She got the remote. She saw that it said Apple TV. She hit the button. Everything came up nice and neat. The user interface is so friendly and so, it's what people expect. It's what they're used to seeing on their phone. And, she was able to operate it without any issues. So to me, that was the gold star seal of approval. And in my opinion, what makes Savant very unique and the best line out there for automation.
Yeah. Trevor, one of the things I heard from Brett was that the company was founded based on the owner's bad experience of somebody trying to sell him what he needed for his home. Absolutely. And so talk about the company seems to have a philosophy of solve problems, innovation, and invent really easy to use products, to Robbie's point.
Well, actually, he started his first company also with having a desire to change the industry. This was in the telecom business, and this is who we are, true for Inform. Every single year we have new innovative products released, always looking ahead. But yeah, he had an experience with another integration company and figured we got to make this better. We got to make this easier on the end user. The experiences are just not great out there. So after a couple of tries, he launched Savant, and that's just been moving forward and forward. And I think, which can be challenging for us as well, Robbie, we tend to kind of push and push because we see where the market is going. So we're seeing that energy is becoming front of mind of every single person out there, no matter what income level. People want solutions. And our founder, Bob Madonna, saw this many years ago already and started building up a new company that's now embedded into Savant in the energy area. And so that's what we do constantly, always look into hey, this is how we traditionally do it. How can we make this better and easier to use for clients? It actually does all come back to what you said a little bit earlier, Robbie. Initially, home automation was I got, instead of 6 remote controls, I have 1 remote control on the coffee table. Now, with energy, with lighting, everything included, we'd still do the same thing. We bring it into one environment, one easy-to-use experience with Savant Scenes, now energy scenes, lighting scenes. The clients can actually really personalize that experience. So we continuously push that forward and always thinking we can do this better. We can make this easier for clients. Thinking ahead. Yeah. Where this industry should be going.
So back to the ease of use, and maybe, Robert, you guys can both talk about, I know that we are a distributor that is nationwide for Savant. So, dealers may be listening to this that are not in or near our branch. So somebody hears this message on Wednesday, what's required to get started with the brand and with Wave And if that's on a Monday morning, forget Wednesday. If it's a Monday morning, when can they be working on their first install? Do we make
So
it?
it goes pretty fast. We've streamlined it quite a bit. We do have an onboarding process. Does require some paperwork to get through. That's usually about a 24 to 48 hour period. Once that's finalized, then the dealer is going to be looking to get one of the training kits. So there is some skin in the game that does require, a purchase of a kit.
Okay.
Now that kit is advantageous because it comes with everything you need to do a system at your own home, and then also gives you some equipment that you can use on your first install. So you're getting 2-in-1 at a very heavily discounted rate, but you have to have the product on hand in order to be able to work with it and practice with it. Now, there do have some phenomenal training modules online through the Savant University, which you do get access to once you make the purchase of that kit. They're broken up step by step. I use them still to this day for anything new that's out there. I still try to go through and find modules that I haven't watched before on, certain aspects of lighting or shades or any number of things like that. So the dealer will have access to that right away. And then we also hold our trainings like we do pretty much on about a quarterly basis, I would say. So most branches will hold 3 to 4 trainings a year at that branch site with either Brett or other members of Savant that do training on the actual hands-on programming. And in that training, they'll get the one-on-one or the hands-on where they actually will see how it's done.
Okay.
Typically, they're 2-day trainings. The first day is more of an intro class. Second day is more advanced training. And, from there, it really does determine or is determined by the dealer of how deep they want to go.
Okay.
How much do they want to learn? I've got some guys that they're cool with just doing a remote single-room solutions like Trevor was talking about. They love throwing in one of the SIPA amps, or they love throwing in one of the sound bars.
Yep.
Give the remote, which is, extremely nice. Customers are very happy with it.
Yep.
Then there's also some very, very large systems that we've done, ground up that we've helped design. So I would say, it's all determined on the speed that the dealer wants to go.
Sure.
Let's call it a week at most.
My favorite town, Paducah, Kentucky. We don't have a branch. So how is that dealer going to hear this podcast? What action will he take to get started?
Well, first they're going to need a Wave account, wave-electronics.com.
Okay.
From there, you'll go in, you'll see where it says to become a dealer.
Yep.
There is an application process for that. We do vet.
Once they're vetted, once they're on board, Trevor, how does Robbie talked about once a quarter we get Brett here. He's doing these trainings. What happens to the dealers that are not in the area? How do they? Is it the university, the Savant online? Is that where they will keep their knowledge kind of up to speed?
Absolutely, and like actually Robbie just mentioned, many of us go back on a regular basis to a university. There's always new educational material added, but there's something like, hey, let me get a refresh. So there are many avenues, and I actually wanted to hand out a compliment here as well of why working with Wave. Wave, every single branch has its brand champions. So I think there's another level of really awesome support here that's, I think, unique to how Wave operates. It's like you got branch champions. You got also a complete services team by Chris Duffield that can help support as well. So there are actually quite a few areas where you can get to know more about Savant. Starts with our university, local training, work with your local branch with branch champions like Robbie here. And there's also a services team. So there's multiple ways to get started. And then there's also, I believe, the B2B business team.
Yeah, and that's I think what Robbie, what happens, Paducah, Kentucky dealer, does that dealer end up with the internal B2B team?
Typically, they'll end up with the internal B2B team. Now, in the past, and we've done it, and we know that we can do it if we have enough people, they can run the trainings virtual. I know that Matt Wilbanks was doing that for a while during COVID, successfully. So, understandable that we don't have branches in every state. California, for example, very large state, a lot of dealers, a lot of, other distributors. We don't happen to be in that marketplace. But, if we have somebody who's a very good prospect, we can certainly set up a virtual training from them.
Yeah, and in addition to that as well, so for these remote dealers, let's say in the state of California or Kentucky, Brett actually works very closely with your team. So he's training today. But in his off time or while he's flying or back at home, he actually converses a lot with your team members and helps design systems. So, I think there's so many ways that somebody can get started with us on a small application or very, very large.
Yep. Once we're on board, we're doing Savant, or we're getting ready to take that first step. We have Wave Premier program. How does that apply to Savant? And I know there's a 90-day part and then ongoing.
Correct, yeah. So with our rebate program, you are getting percentage points back. Savant, for the first 90 days, you're getting back 4%. After that, it's 2%.
Nice.
Which is a decent amount when you're looking at how big a system can get at times. I mean, I've had, individuals get back 4-figure returns on one large project, just because that was, how it all worked out, and they were within that 90 days. So you're constantly getting those rebates that is helping the dealer save money. Yeah, most of our dealers do select a credit on account. They do like that. They prefer just using that for equipment. Some guys do the card because it's good for golf.
Right.
Or, once again, buying TVs the wife don't know about.
It sounds like for a conversation about getting in, we've kind of covered it. Do you think we've missed anything, Trevor?
No, I think anybody interested in becoming a Savant dealer or maybe getting into the field, I think the partnership with Wave for an integrator is awesome. There are locations in key areas. There's everything on display. There's plenty of inventory on the Savant gear. Again, the training opportunities, local branch managers. So,
Robbie, what do you think?
No, I definitely feel that one of the biggest advantages that Savant has over other automation systems is the partnership that we have between us at Wave and Savant. I don't know if other automation systems have that.
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody going into, a Crestron or a Control 4 is going to get the kind of support that they're going to get from us and Savant going this route.
Yeah.
It's maybe, a little bit, not the most humble, but I would definitely say our service is second to none, whether it's for something small. And we treat every dealer, even if it's a small, tiny project versus a massive 25,000 square foot home that's getting energy and video over tiling and, every accoutrement imaginable.
Yeah.
They're going to get the same level of service from us.
I heard Brett talk about the future. And one of the things that I think we would do a disservice is to not say to a dealer, you got to get in on this. And this is your power systems. Let's hear both of your comments about, where are our integrators today getting into that space, and if they're still reluctant to get into automation, they need to get into automation so they can get in to power systems.
Yeah, and we saw that trend happening, I'm going to call it roughly 6 years ago, the need for energy management, renewable energy management. And look, that's not just for the folks that just want to live green and hug a tree. No, that's for every single person out there, and more every day. And so we saw this early on and started really educating and maybe pushing our industry, our partners out there. You need to look at this because this is the direction that this industry is going. And frankly, you, our dealers, are the ones who have to bring this together. And we have, I think, the most talented dealers, the integrators on board. And the roofers are not going to put it together for us. It's our integrators. And we see as a holistic view, the full view of a home, a smart home is not smart without smart power. You could be out of power, and so what good is that remote control on the TV if you can't turn your equipment on? So I think it's our industry that should really move into this, and it's happening. And we could also hey, maybe not quick enough, but it's absolutely happening. And more of our dealers are interested in it. And frankly, and I'm happy to be with this company because we're the pioneers in that industry. We've been moving this forward and forward.
So I think that a lot of our integrators are just kind of dipping their toe in it now. Mm-hmm. It is something that is relatively new for a lot of integrators, who have done and put so much focus into home automation, home theaters, sound systems. Energy and electricity power management is something new. Now, one of the really unique things with Savant is you can do that completely separate from the automation side. You don't even have to have a pro host or an automation system to run the energy management system. It has its own standalone. Now, you can combine the two wonderfully, and they work great. And for Arizona, I have a feeling it's going to be something that we're going to see expanding very, very rapidly. Their connection and what they can do with solar is amazing. The ability to go through and use generators or to use battery backups to select critical loads of what you want in your house. And in Arizona, we've got 360 days of sun a year.
Yeah.
And solar is constantly being pushed and pushed and pushed. Well, why not take that solar and make it smart solar? Yeah. Why not know where that energy is going to? The few jobs that I've done, with individuals that have taken that. They love being able to look at it and see exactly what their energy requirement and usage is. And they can see that, hey, my pool pump is taking up a ton of kilowatt hours. It's just crushing me under my electric bill. And being able to kind of do some manipulations with things because you have that feedback, you have all that information, to make the best choice possible. And in the end, save a great deal of money.
Yeah, correct. And actually with the Savant software, this has also been done for you. So it's not like you have to constantly be on the system. And the smarts of Savant, what makes Savant really special is our software and our scenes that run automatically in a household. So you could literally have your power scenes run automatically. Think of time of use pricing. Think of storm watch mode, or I've got this magnificent house, but I really do want to be off grid. Well, that's great. And if you install batteries, there's still only so much time that your house can be off grid.
Yeah.
So why not shed some of those loads automatically?
Sure.
Making sure that we're not charging the car in the middle of the night when we're on battery mode. That's done by our software automatically.
I've always felt that Savant has been a step ahead of all the other automation systems out there. When they first approached us and came into distribution like they did, that was unique. When we saw, the changes they had made to Blueprint and the way that it auto-populates and designs and creates, the user experience, which is phenomenal. The way that scenes can be programmed by individuals, the look and design in that kind of Apple-centric, minimalist, really clean. Everybody else in the automation system is trying to catch up to that. Savant's already there, and now they're taking the next step towards the energy management, solar power, all of that, which is going to be blossoming and exploding across, all industries here in the next 10 years, I believe.
Yeah.
So they're always staying a step ahead, which is nice.
Trevor, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Robbie, thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. Hope you got lots out of it. We want to hear from you, what you want to hear on the next episode. Questions that you may have, we can certainly get them over to Robbie and get them over to Trevor. We've got an email set up for you for that, waveinc.net. Thanks, and we'll catch you next time. Trevor, Robbie, thanks again.
Thank you.